Remember the 16th of July, the episode of Film Seizure on V for Vendetta. I know of no reason why the episode on V for Vendetta should ever be forgot. Hello and welcome to Film Seizure. And we're going to talk about League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. No, the other Alan Moore, another Alan Moore movie. V for Vendetta.
We haven't done. We did The Watchmen, right?
We did Watchmen.
Way
that
back.
was way. That was before Chuck.
Yeah.
I'm going to
BC as we call it around here.
BC around here. Yep. Re-Chuckminium has. That's what that stands for. I'm going to do an episode on From Hell for later and on Monster Mondays. But yeah.
I always forget that was him too.
Yep.
Yeah.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is the movie that made Alan Moore refuse to have his name on any of his adapted.
I mean, I get it.
It also made Sean Connery retire from acting. Anyway, this is Film Seizure.
That shit, I quit.
That is Chuck Connery.
Chuck.
How's it going, Chuck? How's it going?
Is the wind pointing to the north, Piglet? My Winnie the Pooh is always a Sean Connery impression.
Yeah,
Sorry.
wow.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, Piglet was the only clue I had, but okay. Also, admonishing Chuck is Jason Oliver. Jason, how's it going?
Yeah, doing all right. It's kind of ironic that Sean Connery quit acting after League of Extraordinary Gentlemen because he also turned down the role of the Lawrence Fishburne role.
Oh.
Who was he in that? Morpheus. He turned down
in the
Morpheus
Matrix
role.
Oh,
in the Matrix.
yes.
Yeah. So kind of a strange little thing there.
Yeah.
Which also ties to the writers of this film.
Right.
Sure
exactly.
does. Yeah.
Exactly right. And
also Chuck Moore and Alan Moore. Boom.
Oh.
Did it.
I also wrote Swamp Thing comics when I was a kid. After seeing the movie.
Hell yeah, those are some damn good Swamp Thing comics.
I think I still have all your Swamp Thing comics, Jeff.
I thought I had.
I thought you were going to say mine. I'm like, I want them back.
I might
read
have
them in years.
I might have them. I have to look.
Okay, well, we'll talk a little bit more about Alan Moore here in just a moment. But V for Vendetta, a movie that is oddly coming back into my YouTube algorithm with people saying this aged surprisingly unexpectedly.
Yeah, unfortunately, it
surprisingly sad.
Unfortunately, it
Yes.
aged really well. Yeah.
However, I will say, and I will hold up my book once again, the book is much more scary than this movie. This movie, Alan Moore is correct when he said that the Wachowskis have taken the bite out of, because back then it was a statement on the Bush administration. It was neoliberalism versus, or it was liberalism against neoconservatism. Yeah. The book is straight up fascism versus anarchy, which is the furthest the furthest poles that Alan Moore could think of. But a lot of the skeleton is here in the movie, and it still is effective. I mean, I know Jason's really, really mad right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is a weird movie because it is kind of corny, and not all of it works. But like you said, the skeleton of it, the bones are good. And yeah, there are parallels, easily traceable parallels to what we're going through in 2025 that are, it's sort of somewhat inspiring. It's also somewhat saddening. It's frustrating, maybe more than anything, right? Because I do think that there's an oversimplification of how to truly defeat an authoritarian regime that takes place in this movie. That is
what you're saying, just kill them all doesn't work?
Well, that one man can
Sure.
can change that make that type of a change. Yeah, that I think is just a bit naive.
I mean, I will say
theory-
the very end. Go ahead, Chuck.
I was just going to say, in theory, it's not just one man. Like,
No, but
it's representative of a movement, right? Like, and that I think that's what the story is telling us.
The end is trying to explain that this is boiling up, right? That
Sure.
that everyone is starting to feel this way. They just didn't know how to feel that way until he came along.
But I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but he does the heavy lifting. Let's just be honest.
Oh, all the blood is obviously on his hands. Yeah. And on his mask and, on his blades. And yeah.
Yeah, he's like Luigi on steroids.
He didn't get videoed. And ratted out on.
Luigi should have worn a Guy Fawkes mask. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right.
So yes, I think that there is a way to adapt the original story, because the original story is very dense. It is, there are a ton of characters that are all acting as like cogs in this machine.
Yeah.
Especially on the English government side. And it is, the main change is that the High Chancellor's name is actually Adam Susan in the book, not Sutler. I think Sutler was to help dumb Americans say, hey, that sounds like Hitler. And I guess,
Yes, yeah.
I don't know. I never made that connection.
Yeah.
I mean, the more I thought about it, I was like, why would they change it? But that's the only thing I could come up with, was it sounds like,
Or they just didn't want a female name for the last name.
I think that would have been kind of better, just because if he's gonna, like, I don't know, there's I don't know, that's getting into the whole like insecure masculinity of fascism that I'm not quite qualified enough to talk about here. Not in the time that we need to set up this movie. But anyway, I do kind of think that there's a way that this would make for a killer, I don't know, 13, 18 part miniseries or something, if HBO wanted to pony up.
I mean, it's never going to be more relevant.
Well, the problem is that unfortunately they probably won't pony up now, because they'd be afraid of backlash.
I don't know. Disney just fucking dropped the hammer with Andor season 2. Like, if you can't see Trumpism in that, I don't know.
Yeah, but also didn't the head of ABC News fire people or tell everybody to chill it on the Trump stories?
On the Trump stories? Like, what do you mean?
Like, don't go too crazy on being too negative, because they might lose their FCC license.
Well, that's possibly true, but I'm saying there are ways to tell a fictional story and draw the parallels that people are comfortable with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so Alan Moore in this era, in the early 80s, V for Vendetta and Watchmen are, V for Vendetta is uniquely British, but both that and Watchmen was reacting to Margaret Thatcher. And the rising authoritarianism, the real concern that British people had that Thatcher's brand of conservatism was teetering on fascism.
Yeah.
And there was this serious concern also about social purity as well. That's where you bring in good old Mary Whitehouse and her video nasties list, and the whole idea that a selected few are best to determine what is acceptable for the many. So I mean, yes, it draws parallels to Guy Fawkes, all of that. I mean, it's all woven into the book, and it's a story that has a lot of great beats that would make for good cinematic fare, right? The idea of an in the book is an anarchist wanting to basically get back at a country that treated him very poorly, and he was front row seats for a lot of other injustices. So when you get into the early part of you get into the post 9/11 era of the United States, and in particular the Patriot Act, there was concerns that the same thing was coming here, that there would be this government body that would basically be able to black bag you at any point if you say anything that is seemingly anti-American. And then 2025 was like, hold my beer. I'll be there in a little bit, and I'll really make this a reality for you. Did either of you see this movie in the theater?
Yes.
I don't recall.
What's funny is it actually was seen 6 months ahead of its release. It played at a festival before it eventually got released to theaters. I didn't know that. So technically, this is the 20th anniversary of this movie, even though its actual release date was 2006. But yeah, so this is another return of the Wachowskis. So is Bound the only movie of theirs we've ever actually talked about?
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah, I think so.
I thought we did another, but
Well, I mean, what would it be? We've not
I'm
done
looking.
any of the Matrixes.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in talking too much about the
didn't
Matrix,
they write the
other than the first
Atlas, Cloud Atlas?
Oh, that's fair. They did. We did do Cloud Atlas. That was
Okay.
co-directed. Yep. Yeah, good call, Chuck. Co-directed
Yeah.
and written,
Okay.
and co-written by the Wachowskis. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I forgot about that one. Huh. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, and they obviously are uniquely positioned to talk about certain things that come up in this movie as well. I will say that the character of Gordon, that's played by Stephen Fry, in the book, he is not a gay man. Now the actress, I believe, is in the book, and that is from that. So they just made it a little bit more real for Evie at that point. But all right, so I'll stop talking if you guys want to comment on anything here.
Well, I don't know. This is not really anything to do with V for Vendetta, but Sean Connery wasn't the only one to quit making movies after League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. The director, Stephen Norrington, did too. I don't think many people enjoyed their time on that movie.
No, it was a train wreck, and that we bring that up, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, or what? Wasn't it like LXG? Wasn't that on the posters and everything? Yeah.
Really,
Oh my God.
it was really, they wanted it to be like a huge franchise. Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason why we brought that is that League of Extraordinary. So famously in the world of comic books, Alan Moore is like the grumpy grandpa who's going to come over for like the holidays and like talk about like magic and shit.
Yeah, he looks like Aleister Crowley, doesn't he? Like,
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Yeah. But he is famously cranky
He's a
because
curmudgeon.
he is,
yeah,
because at the dawn of the 21st century, like a lot of his, a lot of his stuff was being looked at to be turned into movies. I am guessing that, some of the stuff with Swamp Thing more recently has borrowed from his Swamp Thing run that came along after that Wes Craven movie came out. But in 2001, From Hell was released.
mm-hmm.
And I do think his name is on that one. But it was 2003, I think, when League of Extraordinary Gentlemen came out. And Alan Moore was like, I've had it with these people changing my shit. And this movie is god awful. And he refuses to take credit anymore for anything. So when the credits for this movie plays, it says that it's based on the graphic novel illustrated by David Lloyd, because and if for Watchmen it will say based on the graphic novel illustrated by Dave Gibbons. So he is so League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was this kind of like black hole of Hollywood and comicdom coming together here. But that is the reason why Alan Moore's name is not on this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, had to sneeze there. So although, I mean,
Yeah, he specifically didn't like it being the Bush era parable, I guess.
yes, he claims to have read the script, which I don't doubt that he did, called it rubbish, said that it took all the teeth out of Norse Fire, the fascist political party in this, and that that it
Too timid to set a political satire in their own country.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He was unimpressed with the idea of moving away from the extremes of fascism, and it is kind of funny because there is something truly American about a lot of people being very squeamish about saying things are fascist. A lot of people in the middle who don't like using those extreme words. They have no problem calling Democrats socialist or communist, but they don't ever want to use the word fascist.
Who are we talking about here? Because I see that movie thrown around, or that word fascist thrown around everywhere. Like literally everywhere.
It is getting more use, but there were a lot.
It's everyone's favorite word right now is fascist for both sides. Yeah.
But yes, I mean, like, there are a lot of people in the middle. I'm talking about like the people who claim to be down the middle, who don't.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't use that word because they agree with some of the policies on both sides. Like that makes sense. Like, you would never do that to yourself because you agree with some of those people.
Right. But I mean, but like when it's, well, there are a lot of people who misuse the term fascist for people on the left.
Well, yeah, doesn't make any sense. That's,
right.
That's contradictory.
But they think socialism, communism is fascism. That's where
they try to equate the two, but they're two completely different concepts. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And my first run-in with that was in high school. In mock Congress, I had to call somebody out for calling us Nazi communists on my side of the aisle. It's like that's not how history worked at all. Anyway, but no, I mean, like, what I'm saying is, like, I guess what I should say, fascism is not a term that is typically used in the mainstream. You're not going to hear that word enough on places like CNN. So there's a squeamishness of calling something that's blatantly pretty bad that. People, and what they don't realize is that most of the time fascism is a pretty weak mindset. It's easy to make those rats scurry back into the dark. But that's neither here nor there.
So I was confused. All right, so maybe the comic has more insight here. But I was confused about the chicken and the egg idea of like how we found out that how this fascist regime was able to get its claws in the society. It was essentially like not faking, but causing a pandemic on their own people.
But that was after a nuclear war between Russia and the United States isolated the
Yes.
British.
So that's not too super clear to me in this movie.
Okay, so yeah, so let's get into
Now
the
they
movie
talked
then.
about America's war and how that war
Yes.
came to England.
Well, it came to England in a yes. Okay, so
But then we have this whole biological weapon storyline that ultimately is like how England got to where they got, but they still had to get to that point somewhere from sort of authoritarian fascism, because there's this eugenics thing that's happening with homosexuals and other undesirables that they're testing on. So it's like
right.
it's a little the chronology of things is a little bit confusing to me.
So what ended up happening was, I think the first thing in the timeline was there was a war between the United States and Russia that made mainland Europe and most of Asia uninhabitable. So it isolated England right away. But they were also getting pressure to join the war. And I think out of the pressure from joining the war, the impression I was getting was that it created Norse Fire as a populist movement, but for the right, a conservative populist movement.
So it's mega instead of mega.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, like literally, because the idea was like, we don't need the outsiders war. And they were able to use people's fears into twisting that into, we don't need their godlessness, because there's also it's not.
This is what happens when you don't believe in the Christian Lord.
Exactly.
War breaks out, you get nuked, and in order to get the people to fall in line that weren't, they caused an outbreak and had the control of the cure.
Exactly.
Which brought everyone in line.
Exactly. So
that's the way I read it anyway.
Yes. And but meanwhile, I think what exactly they were testing on the undesirables, the one thing this movie does a pretty piss poor job of is they show it briefly, but then nobody ever actually says that they rounded up non-whites too. They show a gay couple getting busted up and a black man being taken off, but they played that as he was being taken away for being black, or for being gay, not for being black as well.
I think you have to put those two, like Sutler's thing that he says early in the movie, together with what you see to understand that. It's definitely not written out. And there's probably a little bit of fear in the storytelling here to not outline it. Right? Because, like, you can't come out and say this.
Right. Because they play up the idea of religious purity and heterosexuality. They really play that part up, so much so that there's two instances of gay people being black bagged, except, well, it's technically three, I guess, except that they killed Gordon because he had a possession of a Quran, which is it's like, wow, he checked off all the boxes for him to be executed, I guess.
He wasn't black, though.
I guess he
It's
wasn't
the only
black,
one
yeah.
he wasn't. Yeah.
But he
I
was
don't-
Stephen Fry, so he's probably what, an atheist or something? Isn't Stephen Fry
I don't know.
famously
He's probably
an
driving cars around somewhere, I think. Doesn't he host that car show?
No, you're thinking of Jeremy Clarkson.
You
I
totally
am.
are.
I am
Yeah.
thinking of Jeremy Clarkson.
Stephen Fry is the guy who writes all the Norse mythology books.
Nice. But yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go right ahead.
I don't even know what I'm going to say anymore other than it is like I get Alan Moore's, having never read V for Vendetta, I get him making that teethless comment. And even the way they told the story as it is without a lot of that, it's a little bit confusing. So if they put all of the teeth into this, you might be like, what the fuck is even going on? Because it's already a little confusing what the sides are fighting over and all. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, exactly. Because this is the condensing issue, right? It's like it's taking what's ultimately 10 comic books, 30,
making it 126 pages or whatever.
Right.
And they're like using the themes that they use are ones that are easy for people to understand,
Right.
and are also happening in public around 2005. Right. Like people are still persecuting gays, etc. And it's in the media. So everyone can look at that and be like, okay, I understand this thing.
Right. And, the first part of the movie is also heavily centered on the voice of London. The news
Radio guy or whatever.
News guy. Yeah. In the book, it's a little bit different. He's called the voice of truth. He is basically taking the stuff handed down to him from the government to then just regurgitate out.
That's what it seemed like in this, but
he actually has a little bit more power. He's actually a little bit like, that's a pretty good indictment of like Fox News type people. They're usually people with some sort of that ends up getting to become a star, and they think of themselves as the guy.
or the maybe this is a little distilling of it, but the social media blue check marks that are getting paid to send a certain message out on those platforms. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say though that, I don't need to say that. Never
All
mind.
right, back to the movie.
Back to the movie. So the way that the movie starts is that Evie is Natalie Portman. She's preparing to apparently meet with somebody after curfew. This is the one thing that does start the movie a little bit rocky, is like, why is she going out? In the book, Evie's a 16-year-old prostitute. There's a reason why she's leaving her apartment.
Mm-hmm.
This was Steph's one question. Where was she going? I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure they answer it. They answer it.
They do answer it.
She was supposed to go see Stephen Fry's character.
Right.
That's what I
It
thought.
was a dinner date. Yeah.
Yeah.
No idea why it's that late at night and they have to hide it or whatever.
After curfew. Yeah.
Especially
Right,
with
because
his
it's like-
explanation later of I need to invite women over
Yes.
Right.
because of it's like, well, you didn't want her to be seen anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
This is
Exactly.
when you would invite a man over.
Right.
Right.
You go out before 11 p.m.
Yes.
But the interaction that she ends up getting stopped in the alleyway by the fingermen, every element of the government is named after a body part. Yeah, the fingers are the secret police. Actually, I had it all written down.
The penis is Sutler. Cremmy is the nose. I'm buying you time here by making shit up. Let me look up the other body parts. This is a little bit TMNT, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's, the Foot Clan is in there somewhere. Okay, so the head of the finger in the movie is Peter Creedy, and he's also the Norse Fire party leader. So that's even a little bit different from reality in Britain, because the party leader would be the prime minister, but Sutler has ascended.
I mean, that
beyond
whole thing has changed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then the nose is Stephen Ray's character, Eric Finch. He's the Minister of Investigations. He sniffs out the criminals.
He's the guy who's investigating Guy Fawkes in this movie. Trying to find him, but is also like trying to find the history of why this is transpiring.
Yeah. Right. He technically reports to Creedy. Well, no, that's not true. Creedy has the secret police. Eric Finch technically works for like what would be Scotland Yard, the real visible police.
Yes.
Then you have the Mouth, who is Roger Dascombe. That's the propaganda department. He's the one who's feeding the stuff to the Voice of London. And then
does he even appear in this movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's part of that round table that Sutler's always
screaming at.
Yeah. Prothero is the Voice of London. That's the guy who has the talk show. He's getting his information from Dascombe. Brian Etheridge is the ear. He's the audio surveillance division. You see him later sweeping the streets, just picking up what people are saying.
He's also the guy that films at the news station, right? So they can put out the fake video of killing.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Oh, it's too confusing.
Right. So yeah. And then you have, of course, John Hurt playing Adam Sutler. So John Hurt back on the show already.
Elephant Man. Yeah, buddy.
And one elephant of a guy.
Yep.
Yeah, hell if I know. Anyway,
nailed it.
Yeah, I don't know. That was clumsy as shit. Very specifically, he is constantly on TV. Why? Because he starred in 1984. He was Big Brother in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't even make that connection.
That was a complete and total nod to him being in 1984.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's
because in the book, Adam Susan is around everywhere. He wants to be seen, and he also isn't like a weirdo screaming at people like Sutler is, and like hiding behind a. Like, he honestly believes in fascism, but he's also kind of like a little weirdo, like a Stephen Miller type.
Is he above ground?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He's publicly around all the time. In fact, it is his undoing that he's so public. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but anyway, they specifically, it's like, hey, John Hurt's going to be this guy. Let's just put him on the TV screen.
Makes sense.
So that is the government body of Norse Fire. That's the black and red symbol that's on there. That's what that stands for. V is just a guy in a mask. And now he does have a disfigured face and everything. I don't think you ever see that directly in the comics. You get the idea that he's pretty badly burned.
Just from his hands. Like,
right.
And him coming out of a burning building.
And like, oh, he did it. Yeah. I burned it down.
But he's shrouded in that scene too.
Right. But you get the idea. He's a little lumpy. You can tell he's got like some burns and some welts and stuff like that, even in silhouette. But yeah, he is preparing to go out too, because he's got business on this night.
Business.
Because it is November 5th.
It's business time.
It's business time.
Business time.
Yep. So he's going to blow up the Old Bailey. Now, at the beginning of the book, he actually blows up Parliament.
So he succeeds.
Right. Like, he is doing the literal Guy Fawkes thing. There's a whole different time scale in the book compared to the movie. But yeah, he happens across Evie being, they do plan to rape her to death.
They're accosting her. Yeah. The finger is accosting her. They're going to.
Yeah, they don't really shy away from the language there, do they?
No.
It's pretty clear.
Yeah. And
are you ready for P&V time, my lady?
Yeah. My lady.
They are British.
Yeah, right. One guy looks.
Spare the rod.
One guy looks like he's about to be accosted on the roof by Batman. He's got like that, like weird, like sweaty, like blackened eye thing going on. It's like he's drinking Drano.
He's sick. He's sick. Yeah. They say so. He's got something.
Probably syphilis.
Yeah.
Um, I imagine shit like that runs rampant in a truly fascist society.
Probably because there's no doctors anymore.
Yeah. And if they are,
they're somewhere else. They're on a payroll and they're not.
right. They are specifically geared towards certain things, not everything else.
Oh yeah, healthcare system's probably broken down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the one doctor lady even says in her own notebooks later that she starts to hate the people that she's testing on. She has no sympathy for them.
Yeah, the dehumanization worked.
Yeah. And
I mean, because they don't talk about it here, but with this, like this kind of regime rising, there's got to be a distrust of medicine from the government, right?
100%. Yeah. Especially when there's a pandemic that
they want to spread. Yeah.
That they want to spread. Yeah.
Yep.
I do think that also. What do you guys think of this? Do you think that they were able to use the undesirables as look, they're sick? Like that's their self-made evidence that there's a pandemic or an epidemic?
I mean,
so they are not just testing on them, but they are like practically injecting them. They're making
rational people probably have fears of being around them because they're the predominantly sick group.
Absolutely.
And then they're all round up.
They're unclean. They're less than human. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then
but that's where the chicken and the egg thing here though is weird though, because they do the what is the code word for it? Killhaven or whatever.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
Langford. The detention center was when they were trying to create the weapon.
Larkill.
To create the virus.
And have
the cure,
a way to get antibodies to cure it.
Of course, they're doing it both at the same time. Yeah.
But I'm wondering if what I'm saying is they round up the undesirables, they start injecting them with stuff, and then they basically use them as saying, "Look, we have pictures of these people that are sick now."
Yeah.
And then spreading that idea.
Well, I think it does.
The doctor was trying to find a cure. So you're right. You're right. They are definitely painting the picture that these people are sick. Yeah.
But yes, I also think they let it spread, Jeff, outside.
Sure. And I agree with that.
80,000 people or something.
100,000, I think.
I thought it was 800,000.
Oh,
it's 80. I think it's 80,000. It is. There's the newspaper that says
there was 80,000. I think just at like
at Larkill,
because of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Three Rivers.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
It's a lot of people, but
it was enough people to scare everyone because it's got to be a large enough number for that.
Because if you shut yourself off, you're only thinking of your population. That becomes a much higher percentage. Than anything outside the country included. Right. Yeah,
it's a weird. It's weird because then the political party doesn't come to power until during the pandemic.
Right, because they had because
they could sell the answer.
Right.
They had the answer.
But they were just fucking James Bond villains before that? I mean, I guess.
Well, the guy Prothero ran the company that ended up selling the cure.
Right.
Yes.
So they were all just kind of conspiring to power.
And it's the oligarch. It's an oligarchy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it is basically an oligarchy. Yeah.
Did they ever tell where Sutler's the only one I don't know in that scheme where he came from?
I believe Sutler was the one who was, much like Hitler, he's the one who can sway the people.
So he was the mouthpiece. They brought him.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like hey, guy, maybe he had some in with these guys already, but it's like, hey, guy, you are really good at speaking and swaying people. We will back you to all of your ends of power that you want.
If you do this.
But what he doesn't realize is that really the guys who run everything are all of the other pieces of the body.
Yeah. Creedy. Yeah, Creedy has the most power out of
Creedy has incredible amount of power.
Yeah. He's party leader, right?
He's the party leader, and
he's head of the secret police.
I mean, that guy has bunch of power.
Yeah.
In fact, his last words to Sutler towards the end of the movie tells you exactly what he thinks of this guy.
Oh, yeah.
And probably has always thought of this guy.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay, so yeah, Sutler was a politician.
A small-time politician that rose the ranks.
He was a member of parliament. And
Yeah, he's probably a lord of
undersecretary for defense.
Okay, so not small-time then.
No, he was.
I mean, he certainly had power. He certainly had access to these people.
Yeah.
In a country that has far more than not been a conservative country, I'm sure.
And it says he was the founder of Norse Party.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
So basically, this is where the first time you see V do like a lot of badass stuff. He beats up the Fingerman and he rescues Evie. It's kind of funny. I wonder what I thought 20 years ago. I mean, hell, I can't exactly remember what I was thinking 20 days ago, but I wonder what I was thinking 20 years ago when all of the throwing the little blades around and doing all the karate kung fu stuff. Because now that's the stuff I don't like about this movie.
Really?
Yeah. I don't like V's fighting. I like his machinations. I like his I killed you 10 minutes ago while you were sleeping.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he uses blades because he's using Guy Fawkes as a moniker, or
sure,
as whatever his representation. So he's like era specific in a way.
I mean, I guess that doesn't bother me. I guess it's the style. I mean, this is a pretty mid-aught style movie.
I vaguely remember a couple of things. I vaguely remember when this movie came out that people wanted it to be The Matrix because it had the Wachowski's name on it.
Sure.
And they were disappointed by the lack of action sequences.
That kind of action. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the action sequences that there are with the knives, with like the tracers and everything, felt passé because it didn't meet or exceed
it's
the
a step
special
back
effects of The Matrix. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like nobody was really happy with the action.
That's interesting.
Movie.
And people wonder how we get to where we are today when they don't like there's not enough action part of this movie.
I just vaguely remember that conversation.
No, you're right. I know you're right.
To me, I like that it's kind of an older style, that it's not a drummed up action because it makes it feel, I don't know how to explain it. Like
I would have preferred
the one man aspect of it.
Sure.
And I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying that well. Go ahead, Jason.
I would have preferred him to be a little less Batman.
And a little more Rambo? Like, do you want him to have guns or something?
No, like even less of that. Like going, like truly like in the shadows, right?
So strangling, like Jack the Ripper.
Very stealth, yeah.
You want the scene with the doctor for every scene.
I like
where
that.
he's literally in the shadows and he comes in and out of them.
However, I do somewhat like his last scene where he's taking all the bullet fire. Like that's kind of reminds me of a movie we'll talk about in a couple weeks. I like that scene. I don't love a lot of the like over stylization though. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
Okay.
I like the idea of him knowing and even saying out loud that we're both going to die. Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, because
it's like this is the end of the road for both of us. Like both of our ideas have met their finishing point. Like
the government's going to end, and the guy who brings everybody to awareness has to go away because now it's the people who have to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he saves Evie, and he's like, "Hey, check this out. This is going to be pretty cool."
We're going to a concert.
We're going to a laser light show practically. And he blows up the Old Bailey, which I'm not entirely sure what that is, but whatever. It's a British thing.
I mean, it's in the movie itself. It's supposed to be the symbol of how the government is supposed to run that woman.
It's the Central Criminal Court of England and Wales. The old.
I was going to say it has one of those dome rotunda things that every Capitol building has. So,
but I dig that he plays
like an important government building. Yeah.
I dig that he plays the music over the loudspeakers to get everyone's attention prior to the explosion and blah, blah, blah. That's cool.
Yeah, I like that the next morning when they're doing their propaganda, like, how are we going to spin this sort of thing? And Sutler asked what music it was, and then banned it like immediately. It's banned. I never want to hear it again.
Yeah. 1812 Overture, yeah.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, because that's a... I mean, that's perfect, a fascist leader sort of thing, like, has no real culture to him. He just despises.
Hurts fascism at every turn.
Although they will try to, what they will do is they will always appeal to a past culture. They love classical art. They don't like modernized art. And they'll say it's like all these old paintings from the 15 and 1600s. That's
they didn't even let that stuff on display. It was like,
oh no, I mean, this is a complete and total shutdown of, but like the little Nazis that run around online will talk about how everything made before a certain period is better than anything.
Oh yeah,
now.
I mean, I thought we were talking about the movie.
Contemporary art is never going to happen. Like, you can't have any kind of challenge. However,
well, we find out what happens when there is challenge.
Satirical, yeah.
I mean, Gordon directly Benny Hill challenges this fucker.
Oh,
God, it killed me.
I mean, you think about the old like the old Russian Soviet directors. They were very limited in what they could make, and a lot of times they had to very, very densely subvert what they were wanting to say through
because the fascists will find challenge in everything, even if it's just a picture of a chicken.
Yep.
Well, that just speaks to their paranoia. It's why fascism ultimately
fails.
Is doomed.
Never works. It is an ideology that the moment you start thinking about it, it's already
self-defeating.
It's self-defeating. It's too difficult to keep all those people in line. It is a self-defeating. It's the perfect word for it.
I think in modern times, unfortunately, it's a little more likely because of the reach of voice with social media and like being able to spread your message constantly. I'm not saying it won't fall apart, but it's a little easy.
I think it easier has longer legs.
Yeah, it has longer
maybe
legs.
longer
and it can
legs.
Do more damage.
I think it can
ultimately will fail.
I think it has better recruitment in this era than before, but I think that the problem is that both sides rise up through social media. There'll always be a blue sky for X. There'll always be someplace else people will collect that's not Facebook. So, both sides are going to benefit from social media, but I do think recruitment is easier also.
And the fascist side always thinks the other side is disappearing or crumbling. When it's the opposite.
Fascism is built on the idea that our enemy is both the smartest and the dumbest, weakest. They're the strongest and the weakest enemy that we've ever faced. They can do that in one sentence, explain that the Democrats are so... I just fucking straight out said it. Republicans will say Democrats are so stupid to not be able to run the government, but they're also the ones behind the curtains controlling everything.
Man, it's
and
wild.
They'll say that in the same sentence.
I'm reading Fever on the Heartland right now. It's a book about the Ku Klux Klan, specifically the Ku Klux Klan in Indiana and its history. And the Ku Klux Klan in 1925 had millions of active members across the country. There were, in Indiana alone, there was like maybe 500,000 Ku Klux Klan members. In fact, it was so prevalent that like 1 in 3 white males were in the Klan, and that was 60 years after the Civil War.
Yeah.
Right. We were all of us in our childhood 50 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's like shit is cyclical, right? And it's gonna keep happening. It's sick. It's
gonna dresses itself up as something different.
In different ways, but it's always the same. It's always attacks on immigrants. It's always attacks on religion, that you don't agree with, like Muslims, Catholics, Jews. It's always
it's never just black people. That's the one misnomer about the KKK.
Right.
It was never just black people.
It wasn't. But of course, them too.
I mean, they were the most plentiful to go out and find if you really wanted.
It's anyone undesirable, and specifically with the Klan, it was anyone undesirable that wasn't a true human, or not true, a true American, right? Like if you were an immigrant of any kind, if you were beholden to any kind of foreign country or papacy, you weren't seen as a real American, right?
And some of these people had these beliefs are first generation too, right? Like, which is wild.
Oh yeah. Well,
like your parents are these people that you hate.
This is
knuckleheads.
exactly what I'm talking about. You think about these generationally, we're not that far removed. Like people think, oh, well, it's been a long time since the Civil War. Yeah, but 60 years after the Civil War, racism was prevalent in the Roaring '20s, and then into Jim Crow laws of the '60s. And it wasn't until the Civil Rights Movement in the '60s where really change happened. And that's 100 years after the Civil War ended. And if you don't think that all of us, anyone listening to this, and the three of us don't have a direct connection to someone who was a piece of shit, then you're just fucking naive.
You're naive or delusional.
Yeah.
Or unwilling to look in the mirror of our history.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, all of that stems from we didn't do the right thing after the Civil War. We never punished the South.
The Reconstruction was a bad move. At least Ulysses S. Grant came down with a hammer on the Klan. Like it wasn't it took too long because there was a president in between him and Lincoln.
Yeah, the guy who was too soft on the South.
Right, it was way too soft on the South.
Johnson.
Ulysses S. Grant tried to clean it up, and he pretty much eradicated the Klan, but it just slowly, with this fucking sick little tendrils, just grew and grew and grew. And again, what was the real true motivation behind the Klan? Money. It was all about money. It was all about membership and enriching a few people.
Of course it is.
Because hate fucking sells.
Sure does. Well, I mean, what's the last 30 years of Fox News taught us?
There it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, tangent.
No, that's fine.
The movie's got me all riled up.
No, it's good. This movie doesn't go far enough. I mean,
somebody's going to fucking hate this episode.
I don't care.
For a show. No, I'm just saying. I don't care either. I'm just saying.
Okay. But, the next main scene that happens is, Sutler's mad about the attack on the Bailey. They've decided to call that a successful demolition. They were planning, because as Sutler says, we'll build the new icon. It's like we'll make them forget, basically, which is actually maybe one of the smarter things the guy said the whole movie.
The funny part was how they were like, but the somebody got a little bit too frisky with the fireworks. That was definitely not planned.
Right.
Oh my God.
The V, all the fireworks making a V. That was from the comics too.
Nice.
So there's a lot of V's in this movie. If you look around, in the background and stuff, there's a ton of V's.
One paragraph has 37 of them.
Yes, and when he introduces himself to Evie, that's all new. That was from the Wachowskis.
Tell you how glad I was that he didn't talk like that the whole rest of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't remember, and I was really worried that he was just going to talk in V words the whole fucking movie.
Victory
over these voracious
Yeah.
Be
Vagabonds.
vigilant and virile, and yeah.
They added that, I think, if I had to guess why they added that monologue, is because in the comic, you do see more of V's vaudevillian style of acting. He's constantly showing off to Evie. And like at one point he's wearing a vaudevillian suit with a Punch and Judy mask. So I think they added that as a way to say, no, this guy's a performer. Yeah. He's a revolutionary, but he's also a performer. Which maybe tips the cap.
I would have gotten all of that from the Shakespeare, but whatever.
Yeah, but still, it's a flair that he has about him.
Fair.
And I mean,
I do like with her response. It's like, are you a crazy person?
I'm sure they will label me as such.
Yes.
I mean, that's Hugo Weaving. He's just showing off in that scene. But anyway, so the next day at the BTN, that's the new BBC, basically the British television network. We find out that's where Evie works, and V has a goal to get into that building and send out a broadcast. And that broadcast is basically educating people on Guy Fawkes, which starts to seemingly get some people to think a little differently,
especially the youth.
The youth, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a cool mask, man.
Yeah, but they're like, I don't. It's only shown like a lot of the populace is shown through one character. It's one of those movies. Like the one little girl is like all of the youth. It feels like, and she's really into it.
Yeah,
but, yeah.
There's a couple of little boys that they show or whatever, but yeah, she's the one that they focus on.
She's representative of the youth,
right? I have a question about her later when we get there, but so basically he's able to storm the Jordan Tower to get in to make that broadcast. Evie, who nobody except for those fingermen that V ultimately killed was aware that she had anything to do with that business that went down the night before. But
she was on a BTN, or she was on a CCTV or whatever you call it. She was caught on camera, and the cops go to her house. They find out where she works, and they end up at BTN. Yeah.
Yeah, and meanwhile, everybody converges on BTN, V and and Stephen Ray and all the cops. But he ends up able to block the door long enough to make the broadcast. He basically is able to sneak off by dressing hostages in the newsroom up like him, basically. But when he gets found, Evie helps him escape.
Yeah, she saves his life, basically.
She saves his life, and she gets knocked out, so he takes her with him down to his underground. I mean, well, it is. It's the London Underground that he lives in. Where he likes to watch The Count of Monte Cristo. But yeah, so she recovers there, but basically he's like, yeah, you got to stay here till November 5th. She's like, that's a year from now, because it's like November 6th.
Right, because this whole broadcast was the education and to say, everybody meet me at Parliament on November 5th of next year. Yeah.
And so that creates a little bit of a ticking clock in this movie, which that is new to the movie. I kind of like that idea. It does show that one man couldn't topple the entire government in like a week. It's like it literally has taken some time to get his revenge.
Right. The idea of him gets to grow organically through the people for that year.
And there's an anticipation among the populace, what's going to happen. Yeah.
And it allows for...
It creates a bit of a powder keg to keep going. Yeah.
Well, and the smarter people, even in the government, like Stephen Ray, can envision what the future is going to be like as this continues to build.
Oh, and it drives them crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it's under their skin. Yep.
And he said all it takes is one dumb thing to happen, and the whole thing explodes. But anyway, so basically, yeah, I mean, at this point, Evie is kind of being held against her will by V. It's a little different in the book because she is a little bit older. She does have this sense of, I don't really want to be here. I had a life. But she does explain a little bit about her family. She had a father who was a writer, what was it that she said? Something about how writers use lies to
tell the truth.
To which V's like, oh, a man after my own heart.
And what was it? Maybe politicians use truths to lie or something like that.
Uses truths to deceive people or something. Yeah. Something like that. But they start to form a little bit of a bond, even though she's not so sure that she really wants to be there. And so she tells V, like, hey, I want in on whatever you're doing.
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that because he leaves and he goes and he kills
That's right.
the guy
Prometho, whatever his name.
Yeah, Prothero. Yeah. The voice of London.
Tucker Carlson guy.
Yeah.
Basically. And he tells her flat out, yeah, I killed him.
Yeah, because she says she notices the lady broadcaster on the news blinks a lot when she has to read something that isn't true.
Right, because they said he died from heart failure or something like that.
Something like that. And she's like, she's lying. And he's like, oh, it's like, well, she blinks a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's like, wait a minute, did you kill him? And he was like, yes, I did. So that's what's getting.
And he admits that it's going to take a lot more.
A lot more violence. Violence can be a tool for good, I think is what he tells her. And she's not really feeling that.
Yeah.
So you get the sense that she's kind of stuck, right?
She's also told the story of her parents being dissidents.
Right.
And being black bag. So her only relationship with violence has always been negative.
Right. And she also probably doesn't have a lot of hope. But
she's also manipulating
that dissent can. Yes, she is.
Yeah, sorry.
But it's also, I think, telling a truth about herself.
Yes.
But yeah, she uses that story to gain more of his trust.
So he'll let her out of.
Yeah, so that he'll include her in his next mission, if you will, so that she can possibly escape. Yeah.
Yeah, his next mission is so the place where he was kept and where all the undesirables were sent employed for £200,000 a month. Yeah, a month. A bishop or a priest who's now a bishop in London. And what's funny is he really belonged there if they were playing by the normal or by their rules of being a weirdo because he's a pedophile.
I mean, you think about all the people who talk bad about that now.
Well, sure, but I mean, but like if they had any actual like standards,
no, but they suppress,
right,
and then they practice they don't practice what they preach is what I'm trying to say.
What I found interesting about
he certainly doesn't.
What I found interesting about the character is again, it's another example of a fascist regime using a clerical figure to legitimize their cause as holy, right?
Yep.
It happened with the Klan, and it's happening now with the Christian nationalists. It legitimizes your sense of belonging to something that is holy, and that you're in the right, no matter how much of your conscience screams that you're wrong, right?
Well, no matter how much your actions show that you're wrong.
So it forgives any depravity, violence, hate. It is all forgiven because it has a figure of godliness, right? I mean, all across the country with the Klan, Klansmen were paying off Presbyterian pastors to preach the virtues of the Klan, right? So people were joining, thinking, "Oh yeah, my preacher says it's okay, must be."
Well, a very common refrain from fascists is "Jesus saves."
Yep.
That's a very common thing within fascism. So
Right,
when
because
you
you
see a
really-
lot of people marching around with signs like that, it might tip the hand what they are.
And you see the
But you also have to
iconography
get
of the Norse fire, whatever it's the
Right.
cross.
Yep.
I mean,
But you also have to hook that 50% of actual moral Christianity, right? That aren't really bad people, but now they'll vote with the group or because
they see a holy man saying,
yeah,
and it's
and they're just as important as anyone.
and it whittles away their own steadfast morality. It changes it, it twists it.
Yep.
It also allows them to feel more comfortable expressing maybe deep-seated, like repressed hate that they never really felt comfortable embracing, but now it's
okay.
It's okay. Right. And it's
part of our
encouraged.
edict.
And it's like, well, wait a minute, why maybe I shouldn't have been repressing these feelings. Right? Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, and
it's bringing out those generations upon generations of this reiterating hate that is occurring cyclically throughout the world, right? And it's always there. It's dormant.
Well, and oftentimes there's a family member that's older that would speak that way before.
Absolutely.
And you'll be like, oh, yeah, Grandpa was right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay.
well,
to
I
think
remember
this
Grandpa
way.
saying this,
Yes.
or whatever.
We used to roll our eyes at him, but maybe. Yeah.
Maybe the older generations had something. See, again, it's an appeal to the past, right?
It's all in the packaging.
I marvel at all the things.
It's all in the packaging.
All the little things that were said in my youth by people who I respect and love.
Me too.
That I'm like, holy shit.
I can't tell you how many
at the time, or like it was just small things, like the way you called certain items,
Sure.
the way you did certain things.
certain pieces of the mixed nuts can.
Oh,
Yes, and I'm rigging something
Yep.
Yeah.
like to fix it. It's like holy shit.
Or knocking on a door, leaving a bag of poop.
Yeah, yeah.
This is something also, Jason. This would have been before.
Poops on fire.
Jason, this is before your time at the video store, but we used to get a few Greenwood cops in there. Now, I mean, still did, but like, certain personalities that worked at the video store before you did, had certain ways of talking to people that like they kind of showed their asses more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
And I have heard some things that, when I was 18 years old, I didn't think too much about, but now it's like, I've heard cops say some pretty wretched things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary what I heard. But that's, yeah. So,
I mean, I'm sorry, but nine out of 10 cops don't join the police force because they want to protect and serve. That's all I'm going to say.
no, they want to bash skulls in.
Yeah. Yeah. You went there, but yeah.
Yep. I did. I don't care. I've already gone many other places in this episode, so here we go. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, so here we have Evie is posing as an underage prostitute for this bishop, who is a little concerned that she's maybe a little too old for his normal appetites.
I don't know what to feel about Natalie Portman in this outfit, by the way.
It's weird. She looks
It's
like
weird.
She looks like I don't even know how
She
to
almost
say
looks like the small Wonder Doll. The robot a little bit.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is straight from the book. But again, Evie was 16 in the book, so, but anyway, what's different here though is she uses this as a way to basically betray V. she tries to tell the bishop that I think somebody is coming here to kill you. I had nothing to do with the Bailey. I had nothing to do with Jordan Tower.
But he's still alive, and he's on his way here.
He thinks it's just a confessional game, which cracks me up.
Yeah, he thinks this is part of their weirdo sex game that's about to go down.
Yeah.
And he just goes for it. He doesn't go for what she's saying. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, right. But V does indeed show up. Because that's the weird.
Well, she also need him in the balls and runs off, and he's calling her a fucking bitch or whatever.
Yeah.
And then V shows up. And he's like, "Oh my god, she was telling the truth."
Did she say that she left the window unlocked?
Yes.
So
she was.
That's a weird one to me. So she wants to escape. Why would she do that?
I think, in part, she thinks this guy will take her seriously and have security come in.
Yeah.
And maybe apprehend him.
Maybe.
Or stop
she's looking out for her.
And I guess it can't. She can't be proven correct if he doesn't appear. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if he is caught, that's good on her. She wins favor with the authorities.
Right.
She's trying to play this as, I'll give him up if you just let me have my old life back. But the problem is in a society like this, you think the court the court of public opinion is bad enough as it is. It would be worse in this time because people are just used to believing what they're told.
Yeah.
And never changing.
Right.
Although that kind of happens anyway, but whatever. So yeah, but she does escape and ends up over at Gordon's place. So she spends some time there. She tells the story about everything about her experiences with V. He even cooks her the same breakfast.
Yeah.
What she had never seen before V.
Right.
And then he tries to play out, he makes the joke. It's like, maybe I'm V, or whatever. I really do like Stephen Fry in this movie.
I do too. I really like Stephen Ray in this movie.
Oh, Stephen Ray is he's hitting home runs left and right whenever he's in something.
Yes, he is.
Actually, honestly, I kind of agree with you that Natalie Portman is the weakest part of the cast here. I generally like everybody else in this movie.
Yeah. I don't like dislike her. I think her character is interesting to a point. I don't like her accent.
That's what you were. I mean, that's what I was kind of referring to.
She's among giants in this movie, and she's got this terrible English accent. It had to be kind of like intimidating.
Yeah.
But it just sticks out like a sore thumb. That's my point. Yeah.
But anyway, so he, he's kind of taken by the story of this guy who's fighting back, and he shows her his little secret room where he's got like all the stuff that's not permissible in society, and where all the banned books, he's got like other religious texts. He's got a picture of Sutler as a queen that says "God save the Queen," which
was a take on the old Margaret Thatcher. Same piece.
He is kind of a mini V in a way.
Yeah.
Because he's willing to criticize the government and the chancellor and all that. And
he becomes emboldened by V's story. Yeah, it inspires him. I think he realizes that not only is he in the closet as a homosexual, but he's in the closet as a radical, as a revolutionary, and he's had enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's a guy who can really do things. I mean, the door swings both ways as far as
he has a pulpit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the door swings both ways when it comes to
naive about
what's going to happen. But like when there's a character that comes along that emboldens certain people, I mean, that doesn't matter if it's right or left or fascist or anarchist or, whatever. It's,
but he's inspired, right? It's his version of what he feels is right. And he's like, I'm not doing a fraction of what this guy's doing.
That's why I say he's a mini V.
Yeah. And he has, he says it. Even bigger than the Voice of London, he has the highest watched
rated TV show.
Right.
Which is also an interesting thing because there's probably a lot less propaganda on his show. It's comedy for one thing.
Well, it's scripted and it has to be approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it has to be approved by the
yeah.
So there also probably is some of that sense of like, what can I slip in that they don't catch, right?
Yep. But then he goes fully off script with that episode. He's like, I changed
threw
the
it
script
out
completely.
Yeah, we threw it out and wrote a new one that they didn't see, and it's pretty funny though because it's a whole cartoon sketch.
It goes all Benny Hill.
Oh God, it sure does. Literally. Yeah,
I wish there was an old man he was tapping on the head.
My God,
like that. That would have sent it over the edge.
When the Guy Hawks guy like it shows up underneath the just chair.
Yeah. So he's like, he's like, we've got a special guest here. It's the High Chancellor Sutler, and he comes out, and it is John Hurt too, which is great.
Yeah, he plays it
twice.
All,
Yes,
3 characters.
He plays 3 versions of Sutler.
Yeah.
And he's like there's like the Vegas showgirl style women are like escorting him in, and
my God, V playing the washboard in the band.
Oh my
kills me.
Yeah, and then because he's like, oh, let's talk about this mysterious V. It's like, oh, there he is. And he's like he's Bugs Bunny.
Oh, it's so good.
And because he's like ties the shoelace. He switches the cigar. To be, and they they even poke fun at having a glass of milk before bed every time, which really shows kind of he's just a little boy.
Well, he's sitting at home holding it, watching it too,
he squeezes it.
The one dude from I can't remember. Inspector Gadget.
Inspector Gadget. Claw.
The Claw.
Yeah.
Dr. Claw.
Dr. Claw.
But he's but that's even a kind of a jab at like this is an insecure child running this country. He has to have his milk so he can go to bed.
And then they execute him like right on.
Yes, because there's the double shows up, and then it's like no, shoot me, and they shoot them both.
Yeah, it's Star Trek 6. Yeah.
Or the Spider-Man meme.
It's the Spider-Man meme too. Yeah. And then that's when you get the you get the little Bugs Bunny, that's all folks kind of ending to the whole skit. To which Evie's like, she knows what's going to happen. Like, you're insane. It's like she doesn't laugh too much at this.
Yeah.
Because she kind of knows this is a dangerous game you're playing.
I would be thinking I should probably not be here. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. She didn't leave.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't leave.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about Gordon, but like, I don't know where he's going to go.
Like, oh, what are they going to do? They're going to
fine us?
They're going to give me a fine.
Yeah, I'll have to do a charity event. He's completely delusional about how
you're my agent. Protect me.
This regime has really gone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you get to a certain point when the regime has aged to a certain state. It's nobody's going to turn an eye. Or certainly not going to say anything if they see their neighbors get carted off.
You don't stage an execution of Hitler on live television on television before all of your citizens and not get executed.
Yeah, I mean, a year earlier, he probably would have gotten heavily reprimanded and maybe taken off television. But since there's a public sentiment now, too, like this is nothing but bad for the fascists.
Yeah, that was the one thing. The audio surveillance guy. Oh no, Guy Henry is Conrad Hayer. Hayer is the visual surveillance guy. He's the guy who filmed the thing at he's the eye of the government. But the ear went around after they staged the shooting of V. And he's like, I think from my estimates, 80% of the population doesn't believe that we killed V.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yes.
that's Eddie Marsan. He's in everything. That guy is in so many movies. The Ear.
Yeah.
We've probably covered at least one of his movies. He's in Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, well, we reviewed that. So yes, the answer is yes. But no, so sure enough, that very night they come in and Creedy arrests him and roughs him up, but Evie's told to hide under the bed just like she was as a kid.
Yeah. That's a little corny for me.
A little bit.
But it separates her to the point where V can get to her.
Yes, it works as a plot device.
Oh, by the way, spoiler alert, V gets to her.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm like, stay under the bed.
Right.
They got what they came for. They're not going to come look under the beds now.
Right.
Like, I don't think anyway.
Right. But
her leaving was stupid. She should have left earlier. She didn't. She leaves now. And thankfully, like you said, she gets taken by V, which sets up a whole really obvious like test by
and
him.
It's a dirty trick. It shows that V is also
he's literally crazy.
He is. And he feels like he has to teach her not to be scared of basically dying, which that's not what she should be scared. She should be scared of what the government can do.
Well, I think that he's teaching her that too. I think it's like an all-encompassing thing. You can't be scared to face the government.
Sure.
Because that's what this will take.
But he is also torturing her.
Desire. He takes very literally her when she stated that she wanted to live without fear.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he tortured her with that literal.
There was one really, really good thing about this sequence, though, and it's the Valerie story.
Oh, yes.
So good.
So she is questioned. She's tortured. She's consistently asked to give up V, and she doesn't say anything. She keeps being thrown in a cell. She's given crappy food that mice eat instead. But she starts to find these little rolled up pieces of paper in the wall. And it's the story of a woman named Valerie who was an actress.
This is honestly like Wachowski brothers write, or not brothers anymore. Wachowski's writing to a T. Like, this is where they excel. Yeah.
Yes.
So
basically it's the story of this girl who realized when she was younger that she was a lesbian, and her parents rejected her over it, but at least she was there with her then girlfriend, and that the only thing that got her through was, having her hand held by by her girlfriend. And then she went off to become an actress, and she was in a movie that was going to be a big breakout for her. And she got to meet the love of her life on that movie. But as the government took over, her girlfriend got arrested first. And then basically when it was time, when she knew it was basically they were going to be coming for her too, she just basically sat there and waited for them to be taken away. And, she was writing this so that somebody knew her story because she knew she was going to die soon. And it becomes like the most important thing in the world for Evie to connect with.
I also, I'm giving credit to the wrong place. This was actually almost line for line written by Alan Moore.
Yeah.
The Wachowskis. But still, you can understand their affinity for this material in this moment.
Yeah. And so basically, after reading Valerie's life story, basically, she's given one more chance to give up V, or she'll be executed basically immediately. And she refuses. And the interrogator is like, okay, you're totally free. And she is able to walk out. and discovers that it was V the whole time, which of course it was. I mean, the guy was
pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, it's always the guy in shadow,
So who sometimes sounds a lot like
Hugo Weaving.
Like Hugo Weaving saying Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. Mrs. Evie.
But yeah, so basically she does get pretty upset. It's like, hey, what's up with this? You basically tortured me. But she is able to kind of come to terms with what her, that she no longer really is scared about, about being killed, basically, for stepping out of line. But he also reveals to her.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, she's like, well, I'm gonna go, and I thought about, I'm gonna give this back to you, the rolls of paper. It's like, I mean, since you basically made all of this up, I don't know if it means anything to you like it did me. And he's like, oh no. I got something to show you. And he shows her his room dedicated to the woman, Valerie. And that, those notes were the notes that were passed to him.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is why you do this. Basically, like, this is your motivation for what you were doing. Is that story?
We did skip over, he had already killed the doctor by this point, I think, also because Stephen Ray is doing some good investigative work. And he's like trying to he's starting to hear names that were all associated with Lark Hill and the St. Mary's virus. And the doctor there, we do hear from her notes as he's reading it that, it's like she's lost her humanity for these people as she was trying to seek a cure, which was questioning what she was even doing to begin with, why she was there and all of that. And he discovers that she has changed her name and that V was already going to be at her apartment and he was too late to save her. And V is basically has euthanized this woman while she slept, but he does have one final conversation with her to basically, it's like, I killed you while you were sleeping, and reveals that he had the
I like
needle.
when she says, is it meaningless to apologize? And he says, never.
Yeah. I mean, it still shows that he does have humanity, right?
I also like that he says, I'm not killing you for what you wanted to do. I'm killing you for what you did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Road to hell is paved in bad intentions. Is that the phrase or something like that?
Something like that. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, road to hell is paved with good intentions.
There's some variations that the Wachowskis wrote on the Valerie speech that I like. They say, I'd only told them the truth. Was that so selfish? Our integrity sells for so little, but it is all we really have. It is the very last inch of us, and within that inch we are free. And that to me is what he gives Evie, right? Yeah. He gives her that last inch.
Yeah.
He strips her down to it anyway.
Yeah. Evie ends up leaving V, and he asks her if he can see her one more time before November 5th, because he kind of knows where this is headed. It's like he's not going to live to see the 6th.
Right.
But and she's like, of course, yeah, that's fine. Meanwhile, Sutler has basically put all of this onto Creedy. You're the one who has failed for the last 344 days. You have 21 more days, basically. And you can see that Creedy is kind of seething with, fuck you, guy. It's like, I'm not the one to blame here. Which is used in a little bit, but still, meanwhile, you have Eric Finch still doing his good detective work, and he's also gotten his sergeant into thinking that coincidences seem a little funky right now. All these names that we've been chasing, all these things we've done, and they've all had some sort of connection to all of those other people I sit in that room with.
This movie pretty heavily pushes the there are no coincidence thought.
Yeah, I mean,
by multiple characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, so like, cause he even starts like talking to a sergeant with a thing that kills any kind of wiretaps so that nobody can hear them, like kind of come to this realization. But they end up finding a guy, that has all the information, has all the connective tissue for them. And it turns out that it's Alan Moore. I mean, it's pretty obviously they dressed him up like Alan Moore. That's hilarious to me.
It is pretty funny.
But they meet, and basically he gives the entire timeline of how things work. There's a war that creates nationalism, that creates a populist movement that then allowed them to kind of become isolationist, which then allowed them to basically feed on the undesirables. And then came the St. Mary's virus that wiped out so many, but that was fine because they created both the epidemic and the cure. It's too late.
The fear they needed to create to rise to power. Yep.
Yes. And they only find out too late that, wait a minute, this guy that we thought we were meeting with, Alan Moore, died like 10 years ago. Shit, we had V the whole time. And it's like, of course you did. That's a pretty not good disguise.
Yeah.
Although, in fairness, the camera got closer than the two detectives did.
It is true. It was very dark.
Yeah. And, we have 1080p TVs and 4K
it's
streaming.
Yeah, but so do the detectives. Like their eyes are in like
8K. Not in England. There's no optometrist anymore in England.
Their eyes are as bad as their teeth,
Yeah, I mean, bad eyes makes you undesirable. So
that's right.
I didn't see any glasses. I didn't see any glasses on anybody in this movie.
I did not either. Probably because all the eye doctors have been exterminated.
Probably.
Yeah. Because they're spreading some lies.
Misinformation.
About
people can't read the bottom line anymore because there's no more optometrists.
That's right. Dude, why do you need eyes? There's no books anymore to read.
That too.
That's true.
But yeah, it's clearly all the parts in this movie where you suspect that the filmmakers would try to fool you, they don't. And I don't know if it's just bad.
Obvious. Yeah, it's super obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess basically we are, V then goes to visit Creedy, and here's where we really get to the end game. And he basically says, hey, you want to get rid of Sutler? I can give you the means, to get rid of him, basically. And in exchange, I give you myself. You'll win. You'll have all the power at that point.
Right.
And he's appealing to this, that's the other thing about fascist government. Everybody wants to be the top dog in a fascist government. There's constant knives behind backs waiting to strike in this type of setup.
He also is like hedging his bets, right? Because he knows that if he doesn't do this, and if V blows up Parliament, that he's taken the fall.
Right. This is the only way he sees out of
right
it.
out and said it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's like, "Fuck that." V's right. That this is win-win for me. So he thinks.
Yes.
Win-win loss, as it turns out.
Exactly.
But that he also goes to, well, I guess this is the very ending, right? Like she does go back to see him. Evie.
And he shows her the underground, and
they have a dance because he's never danced with a woman or something. I don't remember what he says. I've never danced to this song is maybe what he said.
Yeah, that's what he says. That's that song. Yeah.
And then he takes her to the train. He's like, this is, you convinced me of one thing, that I can't be the one, or one thing you have convinced me of, not the one thing, is that I can't be the one that sends this train. He's like, because once I go take care of what I'm taking care of, it's up to the people then to decide what future they want, not me, because I won't be around anymore.
He lets her be that avatar of the people, and she makes the choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the comics, she is quite literally takes up the avatar to rile the people. She dresses
she
as
becomes
V.
EV.
She dresses as V at the end and riles and basically riles the population to make their own way.
Isn't Evie the other robot in Wally's girlfriend? Isn't it Evie?
I think so.
Evie.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's also an electronic vehicle.
That's right. That's why I said that.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry.
So he basically, he's like, I got to go take care of this thing. Bye. Hang out here with the lever.
Yeah.
And once it hits midnight,
Make your choice.
it's on. Yeah.
Make your choice.
It's do it or don't.
Yep.
So then one of the things so Steve, I alluded to this earlier, where Stephen Ray says, I went to Lark Hill, and the sergeant's like, oh, that's outside the quarantine zone. I was like, yeah, I know, but I had to get a feel for all of these things that I'm seeing, all these pieces that are laid out in front of me. And he talks about how he can start seeing the future, what's going to happen, what's going to come. And he's, and meanwhile, V is setting up the dominoes to, and basically he's talking about how this thing happened and this, and then the tension has risen to the point where all it takes is one stupid thing. And it's represented by the fact that V has sent hundreds of thousands of Guy Fawkes masks to the population. And the little girl who was most into the whole thing with V she's already been spray painting V over the propaganda posters in town. She happens to be like Evie's neighbor when she, has gotten her own.
Evie walks by her while she's doing it. Yeah.
And I think that also made it where Evie felt pretty comfortable that, revolution's coming. I can help at the end here, basically. But in Stephen Ray's monologue about, all it takes is one stupid action to send the whole thing over.
Yeah, somebody to make a mistake,
and the girl is caught or with the mask that she was, wearing as V, and gets shot by a fingerman, which causes the town to basically beat the shit out of that guy and kill him.
It's the beginning of a riot. Yeah.
And basically it's a revolution.
Yep.
Now, my question, do you guys think that actually happened?
So I'm annoyed by this because they show her at the end when they all take the masks off.
But they show a lot of people at the end.
Yeah, but they show
people that are dead.
Yeah.
Other people that are dead.
Who else do they show that's dead?
Stephen Fry. Yeah. Natalie Portman's parents, the actress and her lover, they're all there.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that at all. Well, then, yes, she's dead.
Yeah, I think it actually happened.
I can see being both ways, or being either way, because the one thing we don't get is we don't get any impression that there's unrest after that.
Well, the next time we see everybody is when they're walking on the Parliament.
But they're not rioting. They're just marching.
Well, they're not being stopped either.
One, because the snake has lost its head at
Right.
that point.
Well, I mean, I don't think every 200,000 or however many people are marching on Parliament knew that this girl got shot either. But it is like a motivator for a part of the population. So I do think it happened. And I don't think the actions of the people at the end say one way or another whether it did.
I don't know.
Well,
I always thought that it was that what he was saying is actually what's happening.
I agree.
But I
think
also can say I think that there is a more of a symbolic concept of
it
the living
matter,
and the dead
right?
are part of this.
It's a visualization of what Evie tells Stephen
Ray. Yeah.
about when he asks at the end of the movie, he asks who he was. And she tells him he was, she lists a bunch of people.
He was my dad.
He was me. He was my dad. He was my mother. He was you. He was me. And that's what I think that symbolizes. The people in the crowd is the people who have died before them. They are still part of this revolution. They're still part of the victory. Right.
That's why I also say it could go either way, because you also see people who you've not seen before in this movie that are just people.
Well, yeah, I know.
Yeah, but
it's giving that honor.
Right.
To
Right.
all
It's
the ones who have perished in this struggle.
right.
And
They're
they are
still
one
part
of
of
the
this.
dominoes that fell on the way to this.
Exactly.
Oh,
Make a big show of. Yeah.
Also, dominoes were part of the book too. Each chapter started with him placing another domino, and then the last chapter he starts knocking them over. You just see the hand knocking it over.
This may be obvious to you guys, but my question is, who is the one domino?
Evie.
What does that symbolize? You think it's Evie?
I think it's Evie. Because there's still a choice.
Yes, because he leaves it on the train and is like, this domino is whether the train goes into the station. So I don't even know if it's Evie necessarily, but it's that.
It's the concept of it.
It's the spark, the light, the powder keg.
It's the last domino.
They have to. Someone else has to make this choice.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I've done everything I can do. I've set all this in motion. Yeah.
So eventually, so Creedy has decided, hey, I'm ready to overthrow Sutler. And Sutler this whole time has been said that he barricades himself, that he's never, that he has.
I think he's quite literally underground with V the whole movie.
It's very possible. I think they do. I think they do say. Yeah, I think they do say that he is. Oh, he's someplace underground or whatever. Yeah, behind
on opposite sides of the tracks.
Oh my God, that would be great. But anyway, but Creedy knows where he's at, and he has his men black bag him basically, and Sutler is just kind of a whimpering weakling.
Yeah,
he's crying at this point, to the point that Creedy. This is where he really gets his opportunity.
Disgusting.
He calls him disgusting, and he shoots him dead. And then V's like, all right, well, neither one of us are going to get out of here. He wasn't the only death that's happening here.
Bollocks.
Right. And he's like, by the time you reload, I will have killed all of you. That's kind of a badass line.
Yeah. It's only a matter of waiting for you to run out of bullets. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Basically, it's like, go ahead and open fire. An idea cannot be killed.
Yeah.
Ideas
are bulletproof.
It's pretty on the nose, but at the same time, there is a badass, the dialogue is badass here.
I like the sentiment of this scene quite a bit. I don't really care for the knife tracers.
The knife tracers is my problem. The fighting with the knives, the karate, all of it. Because Creedy even says, it's like all you have is your karate business or whatever.
But I also like the fact that it's realistic in a sense that he's taken a lot of gunfire, even with his
Well, it's just a
metal
suit of
plates,
armor.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. I mean, it has holes in it.
Yeah,
It didn't do much.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that. I like the thought of he does just need to outlast the bullets. Like that is literally the truth. He's not a superhero. He just is. He just has got to show his will is mightier than Creedy's.
The sword.
And he does have a little bit of superhumanness to him.
Well, he does. What he was being pumped full of in the book. I mean,
that's fair. Yeah.
I mean, he does have. He maybe can't feel pain.
Yeah,
is
but
maybe
it is his will that keeps him alive.
Well,
for
I don't
sure.
think
I'm just saying.
I don't think he
he's-
has very many nerve endings because he's burned on every part of his body.
Yeah, and he's super strong too.
But the thing that was, I think it's actually
at the
said.
end of Sunshine, the burned guy.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it's actually, it's either, I think it's said in the book that basically what was meant to kill him basically made him this. You know, like
I thought you were going to say basically made him stronger, and I was like, yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, but like, not only, yes, I know, but not only made him this, like stronger, but made him into everything that he's able to survive and all the things he can do.
It also makes him untraceable because he has no hair, he has no fingerprints, he has no.
Yep.
Yes.
Basically, all he is,
Nightmare.
yeah, all he is essentially a burnt up corpse of just fucking anger
That shot,
and retribution.
that shot of him coming out of the fire, right? That was a real live burn. That was Chad Stilinski. He was Keanu Reeves's stunt double on all the Matrix movies and stunt coordinator. He's also the director of all the John Wick movies. But he just lathered himself in like non-flammable gel and just walked through and stood in like all those flames for the shot.
Like naked?
Yeah.
What a badass.
Yeah, he might have had like underwear on or something, but yeah.
He should have been hanging dong.
It was totally
Yeah, that would have really shown them.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he went that far, but
Alan Moore does like to show the hanging dong.
He sure does. Especially if it's a different color than normal.
That's quite the galactic penis you have there. So.
God damn, that dong is 10 stories high.
Robert De Niro's mole has got to be 10 feet wide.
Anyway, so so basically, he does. I mean, he takes all the fire. He then, and sure enough, while they're all reloading, he literally says, "My turn."
Yeah.
And he starts slicing fools up.
Yeah.
And Creedy still gets a couple of shots off. He is only carrying a revolver, so he doesn't have to do as much work, I guess, to put in a few more bullets. But he strangles him and breaks his neck against the gated entry to that portion of the underground. And he's like, all right, well, cool. I'm going to stumble back. But before I do, I want to make sure that when I collapse against the wall, it makes another little V. Like I said, there's a ton of V's in this movie. Yeah. Even his blood stain is a V.
I like that. Actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's fine. I mean, one of my favorite things in the background of this movie, early in the movie, back at Jordan Tower, when he's barricaded himself in the room to give the history lesson about Guy Fawkes. Did you guys see what was playing on the TV on one of the stations?
No.
It was a blonde-haired white woman screaming at the forefront with a maniacally laughing Arab guy sharpening knives as if he was going to cut her up and eat her. I mean, it's cartoonishly what a government like this would do. What some people in the world think. I chuckled pretty good on that one because it's so obviously that propaganda stuff.
Yeah.
I have a question for you about about a character name. So when V goes into BTN, right? and the security guard says something. Where's the cast? Hold on. I gotta pull this up because they attribute this character to Chad Stahelski, but I don't think you ever actually see him. Oh my gosh, where is it? Storm Saxon. So he's like, if you don't get out of here, I'm gonna get Storm Saxon after you for real, or something like that. That's what he says, Storm Saxon. And then you see earlier or after, you see on TV like this action movie.
Oh yeah, that security guard is watching the Storm Saxon movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly right. It's a Storm. So I think like Chad Stahelski also played Storm Saxon in that TV movie.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
But I was like, wait a minute, who the fuck is Storm Saxon? Is there really a Storm Saxon, or is he just like, does he think Storm Saxon is real and that he's going to come save him? Like, why does he say that?
Well, I mean, it would be like one of us saying, I'll go Rambo on one of you.
I guess maybe he's saying he'll go Storm Saxon on him. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Fair enough. But it's such a weird thing. I was wondering if that was a character or if that was played up more in the comic.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know, but it's kind of hilarious.
It's funny, yeah.
Yeah, there's all sorts of little things going on here. But anyway, so yeah, at this point, V stumbles back to the train where he basically tells Evie, it's like, this is it. The choice is absolutely yours. And she's like, well, I'll send you out on a Viking fucking funeral here. Put you on the train with flowers. Right then, Stephen Ray shows up and she's like, yeah, that's great and all, but send the train. She just pulls the lever and
makes that little speech you talked about earlier as they watch it explode.
Yeah, basically, yeah, because she, like, at this point, I think Stephen Ray is also quite aware, like, he knows that this government is doomed. Like, he knows more about the people, I think, than anybody else in this government. And he's there, he's publicly out there all the time, you know.
In a way, he makes this choice with her because he lets her do it.
Yep.
So it's both sides now. And he's all like teetering. You can tell he's teetering the whole
and for
movie anyway.
Yeah. For like the last two acts, he's starting to piece together that there is something wrong. I mean, like
he's not trying to find V. He's trying to figure out why.
Right.
Yeah.
And the truth behind it all, because at the end of the day, he's still a cop. Right. And he even says that, you know, like both he and his sergeant at different times have basically come to a realization that some of these coincidences or some of the things that they're learning are making them physically ill because they bought into something that isn't real.
And even when you first meet him, like when the rest of the cops give their kind of rah, you know, let's go get him, Tiger. You know, he's just kind of mumbling it, you know?
Yeah.
He's not, yeah.
Oh, yeah, England prevails. Yeah.
That's what it was. England prevails, yeah.
That's very fashy sounding.
Oh, by the way, Storm Saxon is in the comic, but he is very much a fictional character.
Oh, okay.
That's a TV action hero, and there's a couple of really funny moments. There's a picture of him. It says "Die, die, die," and he's shooting a gun. It says, "And you can visit the nightmarish future England of Storm Saxon against 5 past." And you can visit the nightmarish future England of Storm Saxon again at 8:05 next Tuesday on NTY1. But right now it's trouble for Sid and Brenda when a neighbor accuses them of food hoarding. That's you have to laugh coming next here.
You have to laugh.
You have to laugh. And then there's another one where it's like these two guys. This one guy's like, those black butchers have had it on their own for way too long. They rape our women and they burn our houses, our possessions, but no more. Because starting from today, Storm Saxon is fighting back.
Oh
my God.
He's fighting against the woke ideology mob.
He's got this lady in his arms, and she says, "Oh, Storm, hold me tight."
He's got to kill that woke mind virus. We mentioned putting "What doesn't kill you make you stronger" on a T-shirt, which is a fucking wonderful idea, right? But I think we should have a T-shirt that says "This guy Fox."
This guy Fox.
This guy Fox.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'd Fox with that.
Yeah. Make that T-shirt for us, Jeff.
All right, I'll work on it.
And yes, the line is, "Don't piss me about. Show me ID, or I'll get Storm Saxon on your ass."
Yeah, so
So
he
he's
was
not saying he'll go get.
he was
six
going to
Storm
become
Saxons.
him.
He was going to become him. Yep.
So basically Evie sends the train off. They play more music, more march music, and all of the because Creedy and Sutler are both dead. The army never gets any orders to do anything about the amassing crowd of V's, basically.
Yeah.
And a guy makes the decision, don't open fire, which
Let them go.
go, and it becomes peaceful.
They peacefully walk through the
Just walk through the crowd, and nobody decides to pull a trigger or anything, which is that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Sure would.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, and so when Parliament explodes, they're all taking off their mask, and we see all of the dead people plus all of other citizens that are there.
Whereas my mind starts playing. Sorry.
I mean,
That
would be cool if
Jeff.
yeah. I mean, I'm
Like,
putting
wait,
it
did
together.
Oh, wait,
and
no, that was fine.
no, it's like I'm putting that together, and I'm thinking, man, that would work. I mean, I would dig it.
Yeah.
Instead, they play yakety sax.
And they all run around. They all run around the soldiers and everything. Yeah. But yeah, so V is all of us.
All of us.
We all fought the revolution.
The final song is "Out of Sight" by Spiritualized. So, good stuff.
Yes.
Nice. Spiritualized is good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then
V
there's
for
that
Vendetta.
cool, there's that cool, I don't know what song it is, but it's got like Malcolm X quotes. Malcolm X
Oh, yeah.
speech on it. It's pretty good stuff. Yeah.
I don't think this movie has gotten worse in 20 years. I think it's maybe even gotten a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I
still
don't
corny,
think but it's
it doesn't bother me as much.
no, I mean, I think it says all the right things, even if it's a little on the nose at times, or if it's, or if it's very of its time. I think it's a fine movie.
I think I do like it better than the last time I saw it. And honestly, I think this is only the second time I watched it. I saw it in the theater. I think this is the only other time I watched it. And yeah, I think it sure is a little too close to home right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It isn't. I will also say it's not the best Alan Moore adaptation of the four.
Wait, of the four.
Yeah, there's
League of Extraordinary
somehow.
Gentlemen's the best one. Right?
if this was opposite day. Yes. No, I
If
think
you
I
want to watch
actually
something that makes you stop watching movies forever.
yeah.
I quit watching movies that day.
Quit.
I actually think Kind of by a Nose is from hell.
I haven't seen that in a long time. But I do like
Is that
to
Sam
watch it.
Raimi? No.
No.
That was
That was Drag Me to Hell. I was just thinking of
it was
Albert and Alan
wasn't
Hughes.
it the guy who did
the Hughes brothers.
The Hughes brothers.
The Hughes brothers did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, now I do remember that because I remember it being a big deal that the Hughes brothers were doing this movie.
Yeah, because it seemed like kind of different, like a departure for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say close second though is Watchmen.
So you think this is the third best?
Yeah, I mean the top three they're pretty close to one. I mean it's not a wide difference until you get to number 4. It's kind of like the Superman movies. You have the first 3, although 3 is further behind number 2, and then 4 is way the fuck behind.
I don't know, but he throws nuclear missiles into the sun, Jeff. It's awesome.
Whistles? Nuclear whistles?
Nuclear vessels.
Wessels.
Yeah, I always mess that up, even though it kills me every time I see it.
That's interesting. You know, they haven't directed anything as the Hughes brothers since the Book of Eli in 2010.
Oh.
They've done.
I thought you were going to say
they've done
since
some solo stuff, but they haven't done anything as the Hughes brothers in 15 years.
Well, I'll be.
Yeah, no, I if you have the stomach for it, definitely I would say check out V for Vendetta.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not going to be the feel good movie of the year for you, but
no.
it might give you a little bit of hope that you know.
I think so. I think that's the hopeful takeaway is that
I mean, it
does
is a
maybe
fantasy.
only take a few people to start a revolution, and it's the dominoes have to catch the right way, and that they will, because ultimately fascism is doomed to fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chuck, do you have anything poignant you want to mention?
No, I'm pulling a Jason right now and just realizing From Hell is about Jack the Ripper. I'd forgotten that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was reading about something we previously talked about, but it's a good. I like this movie. I definitely want to someday read the graphic.
Me too.
Because I do like.
I would highly
stuff.
recommend that. Yes, it's just like with Watchmen. It is dense. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it all fits together nicely, like a nice mosaic. And in fact, at times the art is almost mosaic-like in the way that it's. I guess I could say that originally the story was published in a magazine called Warrior, which was like a graphic magazine in England. That was like from 1982 to 85. The various the small chapters were released, and then when DC came along and bought it up, they started serializing it as comic book form. And the third act was all original to DC. So
Interesting.
1989. So yeah, that was all part of Jeanette Kahn's big push to bring the British. It was the British invasion of comics, which that was like Alan Moore and Grant Morrison and Neil Gaiman, which
Yeah.
Picked the wrong time to start reading Sandman. Anyway, all right. So yeah, I think we did it.
We did it.
Next week, July 23rd, we've got the other Marvel sequel from pre-MCU days, X2, sometimes known as X-Men 2, sometimes known as X2, X-Men United. I just always refer to it as X2. So,
Those are all on Disney Plus.
yes.
Right?
Yes,
They are.
Good deal. I think I'm going to watch the first one.
I've seen those movies so many times. I don't even.
You should probably watch the second one too before we talk about it.
I will do that, but first I will watch the first one.
So yes, go to
That would be hilarious. I didn't watch it. I just watched the
I
first
just
one.
watched the first one. What happened, guys?
All
Tell
right.
me.
Well, I guess we'll be talking about the Statue of Liberty scene now instead of the underground bunker in Canada. Anyway, so that is Wednesday, July 23rd. Go to filmseizure.com. That's where you can find all of our episodes, all of the places you can follow us, all the places you can subscribe to hear the show. Also, this upcoming week on Monday, on my newest episode of Monster Mondays, I have a Twilight Zone episode with 3 more classic episodes: Living Doll, It's a Good Life, and The Hitchhiker. So those are coming up on Monday on Monster Mondays. All the same places, filmseizure.com. This upcoming Friday at my website, bmovieanima.com, I have a review of 1980's The Unseen. Good little thriller. Good little thriller.
No, they just call it Seen because you watched it.
I've watched it, so it's now seen. It was unseen. Now it's seen. I've seen it.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyway,
You've already seen everything.
I've already seen it. It's not unseen anymore. Anyway, all right. So let's do all of those things next week. Until then, I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.